This conference will now be recorded.
Well, good morning. Well, we're on to coaching, which is fantastic. You guys have all learned so much. Now you can start developing your team. So during our planning calls, we really talked about who will be the next leaders on your teams. And I bet those people really need your help to get there. So with the Avon Coach approach and some of the skills you're already practicing in your selling conversations, you can be the coach now that helps them achieve their dreams. So here's our agenda for today. Support. So the second S in boss. Know who to coach, which is really important. And we did go over that already, but now we're really going to delve into it. The Avon coach approach, and what we'll go through is how to do that. Before you begin coaching, some steps to take. Your coaching interaction. And then coaching is like selling, which I've been saying since the beginning of conversational selling, and then your plan for coaching. So let's start with the second S in boss, which is support. Coaching is part of support. So coaching is the way you can support your team, help them lather, rinse, and repeat all of the skills needed to grow their Avon business. And I love that lather, rinse, and repeat because it's so true. So think back about a person that you know. It could be a boss, a mentor, a neighbor, a family member, and think about what made them a great coach. I want you guys to really think about who that was and what they meant for you, what made them great, and what qualities you would like to emulate as a coach. Really mull that over, and then as we collaborate, we'll speak to who that person was next Thursday and who that person was for you. Sorry, let me go back to that slide. It jumped ahead for whatever reason. It loves me. For a lot of people that have been through the program, what they'll say is it's a boss, a coach, a mentor, a neighbor. A lot of times it's your mom or your dad, or somebody else in your family, an aunt or an uncle, whoever it might be. It can be a teacher, which I hear a lot, a friend, a politician. But again, remember, let's really think about them and what qualities you want to emulate, and we'll discuss that next time we chat. So before we explore how to coach, it's really important to understand who to coach. A recent study published by Harvard Business Review identified that most coaches spend time coaching poor performers and high performers while ignoring their core performers. Think about the individuals you coach today. You may not think of it as a formal coaching, but I would imagine there's some team members that get more attention from you than others, and I know that from talking to you guys. So coaching poor performers often feels appropriate as there's nowhere to go but up. You have to consider, though, that these individuals may not be in the right role to begin with based on their skill set. So think about, have you ever spent a bunch of time coaching someone who did not improve? Yeah, absolutely, right? And then think about what the issue was. Why was that they didn't improve? Aside from poor performance, coaching high performers can also be easy and more fun. Yeah, absolutely. But some of these individuals aren't necessarily motivated to change something that isn't broken. So the research shows that it's actually the core or mid-tier performers that represent the biggest opportunity for impacting your team's overall performance. Even a moderate improvement of coaching these core performers is said to improve performance by 19%. I know for some of you, if you were able to improve by 19% as far as team and team sales, that would put you into the next level, right? And for some of your people, improving 19% would put them either into a new leadership level or a new PC level, or get them a lot closer, right? So really think about that 19% if you're coaching mid-tier performers, and you can see the diagram on the screen. So prioritize your coaching time wisely by seeking out high potential core performers that are enthusiastic and open to feedback, aka coachable, right? So there's an old adage that says, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. Being someone that others want to follow comes down to empowering individuals to be the best version of themselves. It's not about doing things for them, leading alongside them, or micromanaging every moment. Instead, it's about building them up, supporting their efforts, and coaching them to become a leader. When you do this, you empower people to become the entrepreneur they see themselves being. They, in turn, can bring this amazing opportunity to others. So coaching your team can help you grow your Avon business. Yeah, of course. By enriching the lives of your team, your team can support you as you reach your dreams, which is kind of what we just talked about, right? The Avon Coach approach is about developing trusted relationships through intentional interactions designed to build confidence through inspiring a person's heart. Haha, this looks kind of familiar, right? It's back to our kickoff, right? We went through this. So before you begin coaching someone on your team, it's important to follow these steps. You want to first ask for permission and then get to know their heart and belief, much like I did with you, right? In the beginning of our coaching relationship. You want to plan to build a trusted relationship and identify her coaching priorities. These steps contribute to building trust with the person and respecting their needs and wants, not just your needs, right? So once you identify someone that you would like to coach, you need to ask for their permission. An example of how you might ask for permission would be, you are doing so well with your Avon business. I have some ideas that I think might help you achieve even more. I would love to coach you. So what do you think? So remember, if the person is not interested in being coached, you should still encourage her to seek your support when she needs it in the future, or he. Then go find another person that would be more receptive to your coaching. You want to work with someone that is eager to learn, is receptive to new ideas. And what I can tell you is, if you follow the steps on the screen, more than likely by complimenting them and letting them know what you've identified and why you want to coach them, more than likely they will want to at least start that coaching conversation and relationship with you. So in order to inspire an individual, you have to first understand that individual. So you'll want to understand why they have an Avon business, as well as what's important to them. By asking some of these questions, you can learn a lot about a leader's heart. Again, this is very similar to what we did together, so I'm not going to go through it, but you can see what's on the screen. And this is also on your application guide. So yes, these are very important questions to be able to identify their needs and their wants, and then think about what you're going to say. So think about a member of your team, and then think about, are you able to articulate the answers to these questions? So you guys can think about this, and you probably maybe already know a lot of this about somebody on your team or someone that you've already identified, or maybe you don't. So this would be a great time to call and ask permission, and then start to ask these questions to delve even deeper. So we tend to think about the 3 R words when building a trust: being real, reliable, and relatable. So to be real requires you to be authentic, realistic, and to share your story. This leads to the individual being able to relate to you. Being relatable requires that you listen, you empathize, and you tailor your message to their story. For example, if a team member is struggling with how to manage their time more effectively, provide guidance based on your experience. This isn't just about leading by example, but helping your team realize that you were once in their shoes and overcame many of the same obstacles that they are now facing. We just went through time management and planning, right? So this is real for you guys. This is something that you can share what you've learned and how it's building your success. Being reliable is all about establishing credibility, being consistent, and being present. So let's really think about that too. So trust builds on a slow clock, and it can be really hard to erode or build trust, or it can actually be really easy. So you probably can think of a time where you had somebody who really, you built trust with very easily, and then you may think of someone who really ruined your trust, right? So think about those examples as you're speaking to your new person that you're coaching, so that you don't erode that trust, and that you do the best practices in order to build that trust. It's a great idea to talk with your team member about her coaching priorities so you can help her in the areas she feels are most important. So as you probably remember, we work to identify your individual coaching priorities when you took the self-assessment back in that kickoff, right? So you should consider doing a similar exercise with your team members, kind of getting a pulse check, right? Or a temperature check. Ask her to review the competencies and share where she thinks she is strong and where are areas she would like to work on. You can also suggest areas where you feel you can make an impact and help her grow her business, maybe because you're an expert, right? Or it's something that you've learned along the way. By identifying their coaching priorities, you can prioritize your coaching conversations to maximize their impact. So once you've accomplished these steps, you can begin to have a coaching interaction. By now, you have their permission, you know them well, and you have begun to establish a trusted relationship. And you may already have some of that in the works. So they've prioritized their coaching needs, they feel good about your relationship, and they are receptive to your ideas and your suggestions. If trust is required to build a relationship, intentional interactions can solidify that relationship. To build trust within that relationship, within each interaction of that relationship, make sure you consider the following steps. So identify a need, understand what the individual is struggling to overcome will allow you to provide relevant coaching. The problem is sometimes it's not as easy as an individual saying it, right? So I have a weakness in this area. Now they might not come out and say it. So we need to have coaches be able to get those priorities and discuss them with them by kind of pulling that out of them, right? So we need to investigate their why. Why is there a need? Might the individual be unaware of what's expected of them? Are they demonstrating awareness in a consistent fashion? Understanding why allows you to tailor your support. So the next thing is you want to instill confidence. What can you recommend and share that will motivate the individual to move forward and try harder? Thinking back to the importance of being real and relatable, how can you leverage your experience as a way to instill confidence? Does anyone have a situation where they identified a skill gap that they worked to close? How can this help others feel confident that they can also overcome the obstacle? And then inspire action. This is all about identifying opportunities for the individual to practice in real time. So coming up with a call to action, much like we do, right, at the end of all of our application guides. For this person, it's important to agree on a time and a follow-up to see how things went as well. So whatever you're coaching them through, then you want to do something that's, an action that they can do to improve it until the next time you talk. And that way you'll have something to follow up with them on to see how they're doing. And then also, be able to talk them through it maybe more. Maybe you can then celebrate. It's a really, really great feeling when it's been accomplished and they're feeling better about it because of the things you guys have put into place. So coaching interactions are very much like selling. So this is going to look a lot like, again, that conversational selling module that we went through. So you can see that identifying needs and investigating why are the first steps in the coaching interaction. They're similar, again, to the G and the grow. So get to know her and her needs. You always use those same skills, right? You use the same skills as selling. I told you guys it goes full circle. So ask good open-ended questions and dig deeper with follow-up questions to understand more. Instilling confidence in a coaching interaction aligns really well with R and O in the GROW model. In order to instill confidence with your team member, you need to recommend some possible solutions. So offering stories and best practices to motivate them to try and see that the solutions can make a difference, and then that inspire to action. So coaching conversations you are working to establish next step with is W and grow. You want to work with your team member to identify what they can do to practice their skills or try new approaches soon after the interaction. So again, that call to action, right? Collaborate on a call to action, get her commitment, and follow up to see how it went. Follow up is important not only to provide accountability, but then again, it's also that opportunity to recognize, right? Validate, celebrate, which that's the best part. Again, like that's my favorite, is you actually see a change and so do they. And that's what makes these coaching conversations so meaningful. And they'll continue to do that with you. So not only do selling conversations and coaching interactions involve similar steps, they also require one very important skill to be successful. This has got to be the biggest one ever. So listening with questions. As a coach and as a salesperson, it is vital to ask a lot of good open-ended questions and then listen very carefully to the person you're speaking with. There are a broad range of benefits from effective questioning, from being able to connect in more meaningful ways to helping individuals self-discover opportunities for growth and ideas for improvement. So let's review some do's and don'ts of effective questioning. So ask questions one at a time, keep them brief and clear, and try not to clarify or rephrase the question. This often creates confusion. Ask open-ended questions, which we've been practicing, right? So avoid yes, no questions by starting the question with why or how. This prompts the individual to think for themselves. You can't get a discussion going if you only require a yes or no one-syllable response. Ask follow-up questions that don't lead the witness, and try not to answer your own questions in a follow-up question. For example, what is contributing to your increase in team sales? Was it the new brochure? So you basically just gave them an idea of how to answer the question, right? So you don't want to lead the witness. You want to let them answer. And then if you need more qualifying questions to clarify the answer, then you can ask follow-up questions. But you don't want to lead the witness. So don't give them the answer. Make them really think for it. So ask the question and then listen. Don't be afraid of silence. Be patient. Waiting is a signal that you want thoughtful participation. Count to yourself while the individual thinks. The silence rarely lasts more than 10 seconds, which it doesn't. And you guys have seen that happen when you guys don't talk on calls, right? We just let it go. And then one of you always chimes in because nobody wants that awkward silence. Active listening is just as, if not more important than a good questioning strategy. So this is where the rubber meets the road when it comes to being real. Imagine if you're meeting with me, your coach, and in the middle of the conversation, I take a call and leave you hanging for 5 to 10 minutes. How you guys going to feel? Not so great, right? So be reliable and listen to your coachee. It only takes seconds to begin eroding that trust. Remember, we talked about somebody who's eroded your trust before, right? So consider implementing the following tips. Listen without opinion. Clear your head. Focus on the person. Make sure your cell phone is off or away from you, turned over, on silent, whatever, turned over and on vibrate right now. Reflect to ensure you are talking less and listening more. You guys know I'm chitty chatty, so that can be hard for me sometimes. Coaching is a skill, right? You have to continue to develop it. So think about that. You'll find yourself talking a lot and you'll have to step back for a minute, right? And listen more. Halfway through the conversation, take stock. So again, think about that. Be conscious of, are you talking too much? Are you not talking enough? And then listening is more than just hearing what they are saying. It's also about reading between the lines to understand what they are not telling you. So key takeaway here is to talk less and listen more by utilizing an effective questioning strategy and practice the art of active listening. So let's discuss an example. Here we have Jill. She's a bronze ambassador. She's really eager to build her Avon business. You've been coaching her for a few months, and she's clearly communicated that she's having trouble recruiting new team members. So in anticipation of next week's coaching conversation, put yourself in the position of a coach in this scenario. What are some questions that we might want to ask to investigate why Jill is unable to recruit new team members? So I understand you're having a hard time recruiting. Why do you think that is? That's a great open-ended question, right? Where do you struggle the most communicating? Okay, where do you struggle the most? And she may things say like networking, communicating, storytelling, whatever it is. Have you ever had a recruit at a prior job, had to recruit at a prior job or in a different role? So that's a really great question too. What I will say to you is, what kind of question is that? It's a yes or no answer, right? So you would have to elaborate. So if they say no, where do you go from there? If they say yes, then you can take it in a new level. But I really think that the other examples of like, I understand it's hard to recruit. Why do you think that is? And then ask, as you consider how best to instill confidence in Jill, what stories could you tell to make her feel more confident? Right? So can you talk about your past experiences recruiting? Here's what I did, and that worked well for me. Can you talk about how others on your team became comfortable? Here is what they did, and that's worked well for them. Can you maybe take them through conversational selling and then set up a call to action of where they're going to go or how they're going to post on Facebook or whatever it may be? So let's move on to inspiring action and assume that while we were investigating the why, we uncovered that Jill lacks the skill to effective discovery because she has never had to do it before. So what might you recommend to help Jill become more comfortable executing discovery? So can you educate Jill on how it can be executed? Can you set aside time to show Jill how you execute discovery? So can you set aside time to show Jill possibly how to recruit a new person to her team? Can Jill shadow a fellow team member? Or can you role play with Jill so that she can practice how to do this? I think that's a really good one for those ones who maybe aren't near you. But obviously, if you can take Jill out in the field and show her how, or maybe show her some of your Facebook posts that have helped you recruit, or some things that you're doing on Instagram, or anything like that, you can kind of show her how to do it and see, what you guys can do as far as that goes. I think by showing or modeling, be a model, right? That really helps. Also, role playing as far as some of those scenarios. What I've heard from people is role playing some of those scenarios from the conversational selling, but maybe trying to make them real life, like something she's tried in the past, or maybe she's never tried it. So, hey, next time you're at the grocery store, let's pretend you're in line and let's start a conversation. Can you commit to doing that the next time you're there? So as you engage in coaching interactions with your team members, it's important to document the process. So we have developed this coaching plan for this purpose. You received it along with the other materials that I sent to you last week. So what I will say to you guys is this is not required for you to give to me, but it is more of a tool. And I can tell you I have them on each one of you. And it is a tool to help remember and help guide you as a coach in each conversation and each follow-up conversation, okay? So it's got things in here like, why did you choose this person before you begin coaching? Did you ask for permission? It's got the questions of the heart and what did you learn about them? It's got the competencies and what are their priorities. It's got how will you be relatable, real, and reliable. And then your interaction, so your notes and your plans and your next steps for each conversation. Again, you guys do not have to give this back to me. It is more as a tool for you to utilize as you start to have these coaching conversations. Because what I will tell you, if you're having multiple coaching conversations, when I mean multiple, like 3, 4, 5 people, sometimes the lines start to get a little skewed, right? You might forget what Sue said last week and think that that was what Sally said. And it happens anyway. I mean, you're not going to write down every single thing you talked about, but this is more of a guide for you, right? So that you're having those intelligent conversations with them. What is due to me next week on our one-on-ones is the application guide. So coaching your team. And here it's very self-explanatory. I am not going to go through it. The first section is just who are you identifying as the person to coach and what are the answers to their belief in their heart. And then the second page just gives you some of the questions that you're going to start asking and, how you're going to go about that. And it's pretty self-explanatory. Again, if you have questions, just let me know. And then our hot topic, as always, for our next collaboration is who has most influenced your success with your Avon business and why. I bet I can guess some of them already, right? And then by following the coach approach, you can help your team members grow their Avon business and become more confident. Remember that coaching is about the person you're coaching. Be interested, not interesting. Ask a lot of questions and listen carefully to learn her heart and lead her to self-discovery, her own solutions. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you guys all either this week or next week, and I hope you have a great rest of the week. Happy Monday. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm here for you.